Hey folks, welcome to a very noisy Young and Bloor here at the north end of downtown Toronto, and it is the first day of October. Thank you so much for tuning in. I see Picard is here, Sheena's here, Sanasak, Harjot, Vivian Johnson, Soliata, Picard, Marge, Random Travels, Zach McNally, Vivian Johnson, Kaylee Bird, Alex, Chowdhury, and everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. Yes, that is a driving school car that has been stuck in the intersection for quite a while. Let me just make sure the audio is working here. Thank you for tuning in to this first day of October live stream. All-Star Driving School, my ass. That's the third light cycle in a row that person has been stuck there. There's a look south down Yonge Street. We're not going to be going down Yonge Street today. Detroit Dale is here. Aiden Thompson McGuire, Martin Kelly. And there I am, rocking the shades. It's a little cool. I've got a sweater in my backpack just in case. There you go. Bang up job, All-Star Driving School. Finally getting through. And there's a look up at the recently topped out One Bloor West. Toronto's doo-wop music guys here. There's Young and Bloor, but I think for this one, I'm just gonna walk west. And I'm just gonna keep going west. And we'll see how long we can go. I'll run the battery right down on my gear. This is Bloor Street, walking through a portion known as the Mink Mile, known for a lot of high-end shopping. It's also got the most expensive retail real estate in the entire country per square foot. And Sheena, I know we discussed something. I'm not sure how much you want me to discuss or share with the viewers, but thank you for tuning in, Sheena. I do need to make one amendment to your account, I'm noticing. I'll handle that after the stream, but thanks for dropping in, Sheena. Hope you're doing well. Belkis says hello from Havana. There's a look back at Young Bloor, or Young and Bloor. Zach McNally says Maple Leafs versus Detroit Red Wings tomorrow night. Sorry, Leafs, but I'll be watching baseball. Hopefully the Yankees and Red Sox are still playing tomorrow night. Congrats to the Red Sox for winning last night. But may the Yankees win tonight and that go to a third game. Sorry about that. Hey, Jeanette is here. So it feels like a decent day to just walk west for a while. It's about it's about 14 degrees Celsius. So it's cool some moments and warm some others. Yeah, RD, Boston. Well, if they weren't going up against Boston's ace, they would have had to have contended with Skubal. So either way, I think New York was in for a very tough game one. But if you only score one run, and they got the noble Tiger in the ninth inning. Chapman at 37 years old, still firing absolute smoke. There's where the Gap used to be. I was watching a video on the Eglinton Crosstown on the B1M channel this morning. And they showed a shot of this intersection when that was a Gap. So that was super old stock footage they were using. And on the northwest corner, coming soon, a Tiffany & Co. with love since 1837. Marge, happy October, first super of the month. Indeed, you win the first Super of the Month award, Marge. Thank you so much for the $5. Thank you again. Happy September to you. I'm on the shaded side of the street here. Greetings, Morgan. It'll be interesting to see what Tiffany does with the facade. Simons Gordon says Bay and Bloor, posh Yorkville area. Pretty much. A big thanks to everyone for tuning in. If you are viewing and you want to participate in the chat, you do have to be subscribed, but it doesn't cost you anything. Just hit that subscription button, maybe hit the like button while you're at it. I'll be premiering a video, as I do most days of the week, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. EST. Morgan, I'm second. Come on third. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you for the support and for being Super Chat number 2. Thank you again. There's Burberry. At least me and Ken managed to stay out of each other's way this time. Carolyn, happy October! All the way from Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for the $5 as well. 3 $5s to start off October. Thank you so much, guys. That's new, 2-door, opening soon. We're going to be heading through UFT country in a little bit. Walking west on the south side of Bloor, starting at Young Bloor. Wouldn't it be kind of crazy if we went all the way to Kipling? I don't know about that. That'll take, what, a good 3.5 hours? But last Wednesday I did a 3.5 hour stream. There's a Paris baguette. Greetings, Mike Landry. Keep pumping out those East Coast videos on your Mike Landry 2 channel. Morgan says the 2-door decor is cool. Sweet, looking forward to it. Not that I usually venture inside those kinds of stores. I'm sure we'll get a glimpse at their interior on IG or someone's YouTube video. There's Moncler. Go Spike. that was for Alan Shepard. I've actually been inside that Louis Vuitton. Take Bloor all the way to Mississauga. If I actually make it to Kipling, that's where I think I would call it quits. The Church of the Redeemer on the northeast corner. On the southwest corner, we've got the ROM. There'll be a lot of University of Toronto students coming up in the next few blocks as we cross Queen's Park. With a ton of traffic on Avenue. Vivian Johnson gifted 5 memberships. I'll read your question in a second, Colin. Martin Kelly, Mark M, No Clue, Greg Hybers, Phantom Canuck. Vivian, the first one to gift memberships in the month of October. Thank you so much, Vivian, and welcome aboard to membership for our 5 new members. Awesome stuff. I just posted the monthly members video yesterday. But Colin says, Johnny, am I allowed to put music on YouTube videos? I have a drone now and you're hoping to make a proper channel of your videos, but it would be better if you can put music on them. You're allowed, but the copyright holder will most likely demonetize your videos. If you have monetization, they can be restricted in certain territories, so your video can not appear to a lot of viewers. The best thing to do is get a subscription to like Epidemic, or Upbeat is a pretty cheap one. It won't be commercial music, but, or at least it won't be stuff you hear on the radio, but it's better than nothing. There's also free YouTube stock music available in the YouTube music library. This is Philosopher's Walk on the left. There's the Royal Conservatory of Music. So we're in the Annex neighborhood. I was in this neck of the woods, kind of, recording yesterday. Welcome aboard, Peter Bradfield. Hope all is well. I wonder if they'll be moving the goalposts to the back of the field. The CFL is bastardizing, and in my opinion, destroying Canadian football with their absurd rule changes.
Also, kind of, it can be a springboard to other.
Getting rid of the 110-yard field, making it a wimpy 100 yards, putting the goalposts on the other side. What else are they going to do? They fucked up the Rouge rule. Medano 1973 gifted 5 memberships. Medano, holy cow. Welcome aboard, Starling. Chris Outdoors, Sweet Cheeks, Christos, and John. Medano. Thank you so much, Medano, for gifting 5 new memberships. That's 10 new members right off the start of October. Thank you guys. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you, Marge. Or sorry, thank you, Badana. Well, thank you, Marge, for the earlier super chat. Save the Rouge. Yeah, I don't know. It's not Canadian football if you can't miss a full field goal and win the game with 1 point. The whole point of Canadian football is that it's, you know, Canadian football, not some bastardized wannabe American version. Lisa's here just in time for sports talk. Greetings, Lisa.
She did the job, but it's focused on. What are you laughing at?
This is St. George Street. Greetings, Seastone. Greetings, Brittany. Beautiful city indeed. During weekday afternoons when school is in session, this is a very lively street, St. George, particularly between Bloor and College. There's always a ton of students piled onto the sidewalks just south of here. And we've got the Bata Shoe Museum on the left. Greetings, Mr. Sunjib. That's an awesome dream, Seastone, that you were hitting in a baseball game. No VR set required, just close your eyes. And greetings, Sweet Cheeks. It's that kind of weather. There's a girl in shorts next to a girl in a full coat. RD says incredible blue skies. Very faint traces of clouds in the sky. They're quite nice. Blue hair, blue shoes. So next up is the annex. Well, we're in the annex, but the best part of the annex, in my opinion, is Ryerson still Ryerson? Well, I'm sure some still call it that, but no, it is officially TMU now. Unlike Dundas Square, which is very much still young Dundas Square. Greetings, Buttery. There's Madison Avenue, home of the Maddie, popular university bar. That whole block is getting ready to come down. There's once a pizza there, a Second Cup. Wine Rack is in its final days. JJ Elite Spa still going on. So to the north we have Spadina Road, some might say Spadina, and to the south Spadina Avenue. And there's a number of cops on the left there. Three police cruisers. Yep, we passed Rochdale College, an experimental U of T project that was given up on quite early. There's a car with its four-ways on. 3 police cruisers, maybe, or hopefully it was nothing too serious. We are in the heart of the annex. Spadina Station is just to the north of here. In that B1M video I was watching, he talked about a hypothetical passenger wanting to go east-west coming from the north, and he had them transferring from line 1 to line 2 at Spadina, and I was like, no! You'd want to do that at St. George. Unless you like quite the long, brisk walk between line 1 and line 2. Uju Bunchik, Korean street food. And the supermarket on the left is about to undergo a redevelopment. I think someone mentioned that it wouldn't go forward until the new supermarket was in across the street. Is that correct? This is Robert Street. I'm surprised the B1M didn't mention the Ontario Line Finch or any other projects at all. Yeah, and he also made it seem like the bus network is atrocious. Toronto actually has what is probably hands down the most comprehensive bus network in North America with the most frequent service. And he talked about it as if it's a non-option for most people. There's been some sloppy fact-checking on that channel as of late. Yeah, I definitely would have mentioned line 6 in the Ontario line. For sale. I wonder what these signs say on them. Oh, they're just directing traffic to go left. Jeanette, holy cow, for a happy October, first lunch or dinner. Jeanette, thank you so much. That is going to go towards lunch, I think. I just had a smoothie this morning and I headed out to do this live stream. And C Stone, $5. Thank you, C Stone. When it rains, it pours. Holy crap, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jeanette, for the meal. And thank you, C Stone, for the $5.
I said we could only be here for like just over an hour.
Okay, so let's be fast.
B&B Cafe. I don't know if that's moving in or coming out. And suddenly it's much quieter on the streets as we get to Brunswick.
I know it says 11.
There's Future Bistro.
Next time we'll come back. Okay, it's just someone.
Jeff Kennedy. Happy strides, everyone, supporting you. Thank you, Jeff Kennedy. Holy cow. Thank you so much, Jeff, for the support. You guys have been far too generous today. There's the crafty coyote. Croft Street. Which gets interrupted, but it continues on the other side of Harvard Village. It's really more of a laneway. Lee's Palace on the left with its iconic Al Runt artwork on the facade. I think I should get a drink of water. It is far too early for that. Hey, I wonder what's going in here. That was a second cup, and then it was a Pico. And that was an Aroma Cafe across the street that was always really popular. And if I had a drink of water now, I would have to be going to the restroom in about 20 minutes, so no thanks. I was watching a video about Canada's Wonderland this morning, and they shouted out this place, Shelby's.
I did. I went live with Jake.
There's a solid Donkatsu restaurant. Hey, a new Timmy's. There's been a bit of a boycott Tim Hortons movement lately. Detroit Dale, $9.99. Thank you, Detroit Dale. Hey, that's not what bike lanes are for, dumbass. Detroit Dale, thank you so much for the $9.99. Cheers to you. I forget the channel it was on, but there's a Tim Hortons in Picton where something very disturbing happened. There was a 17-year-old working there, and she got a message from her boss saying, "Would you like a boyfriend? And we'll give you $25,000 to marry him." And she said, "How old is he?" And they said 25. And she said, "That's illegal." And she went and told her uncle, who I think was taking care of her. And she also made a complaint to another supervisor at that Tim Hortons, who laughed it off. But apparently it was an immigration scam that's quite common. And the concern was, this was a 17-year-old who had been going through some mental health issues, trying to get on her feet, and she had to quit her job over this. It's a really, really disturbing story. And a lady who was doing the reporting went in there, and the guy behind the counter told her to turn off her camera. But she happened to be with a couple of OPP cops who told the Tim Hortons employee that she had every right to be there and record. Anyways, Tim Hortons needs to clean house at that location. I think there needs to be some investigative work going on, because they said that that type of thing happens all the time, and she was making a big deal out of nothing. Bill Petrie, $2.79. Thank you, Bill Petrie. Thank you so much for the support. As we look into Mervish Village, they got a security guard there now. Diva Tequila said, "I'm glad the OPP cops went in and said something." Yeah, there was a lot of comments of people that were surprised that he stood up for the journalist. That just kind of played in my feed while I was working at my computer. And then it caught my attention, so I started paying more attention to it. And then a video played of a reporter who I think at Rebel News just so happened to be in an LCBO when a couple of people shoplifted right in front of him. And he recorded it. And then tried to go to the police, and the police wouldn't do anything about it. They kept passing the buck on it. He tried to ask the store if they reported it, and it turns out they never even made a police report. He traced the suspect's vehicle back to a home in Brampton. And the lady on the phone basically told him off for doing that when he called the police. I think that's still a developing story. But we are in Koreatown. But LCBO theft is a really big problem. And the employees are told not to act upon it. And even security can't do much. There's news that the Blue Jays have won the East Division, says London. That is old news, but it is very welcome old news. They're awaiting the results of the Red Sox and Yankees. Hopefully they beat each other up over the next 2 days. They're playing in New York today and hopefully in New York tomorrow. Lisa says there are a lot of problems. There are. I think it's just the lack of action. I mean, it's a well-known secret that you can just walk in and out of an LCBO as long as they don't have a cop on duty and take whatever you want. And all the employees have been instructed to not intervene. That used to be a BMO bank. One where you could get service in Korean.
Let's go.
This is such a great neighborhood, Koreatown. We've got Seton Village just on the north side. I did a walk through there yesterday. I walked by a mural and read the name of the artist on the wall. And then about 20 minutes later, I ran into that same artist painting another mural. That was kind of a neat moment. Maybe I should clip that out and make it a YouTube short. As we get to Manning Avenue.
No, I mean the other place is down there.
I don't know, Lisa. I think theft ought to be stamped out at the source. I think the total thefts have amounted to tens of millions of Ontario taxpayer money basically being stolen. Yes, treat the problem, or the source of the problem, but also those people need to be locked up. Helena, $2.50. Thank you, Helena. Thank you so much for the $2.50. Cheers to you. I mean, the guys who stole from this LCBO on the Queensway looked fairly well-to-do. They had a getaway vehicle. They weren't just people asking for handouts on the street. I have zero sympathy for them. There's Zui Beer Bar. Greetings, Liam. I don't know, we can agree to disagree on that, but if you're walking into a store stealing anything, and you're stealing hundreds or thousands of dollars of merchandise, well, I don't think we should be turning a blind eye to that. Sinjun, grand opening, third location in Bloor. Korean street food since 1999. I've never been to that place. There's a Baskin Robbins. Oh, 100% Lisa, but you should also be doing both. Again, I've seen people who look like they were in need steal before, and I just looked the other way and didn't say anything. Not like a tattletale. I have some sympathy, but this was an organized hit on an LCBO. Two people had clearly planned and premeditated it, walked out with hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of booze, jumped in a van, drove 2 cities away. Caught and the police just shrugging their shoulders. Sorry, I just had to clear my throat out. Greetings, Epic Nation HD. Christy Pitts on the other side. There was also that video of Tyler Oliveira catching scammers in New York City. when people would go to take the Staten Island or the ferry to, Staten Island, and they would tell tourists that it would take 4 hours and they should go on this other ferry ride instead that was much more expensive and went around the ferry, and it was very much illegal and a scam. And Tyler asked the cops point blank, you know what they're doing? And they said, yeah, but if we stop it and bring them in, they're just back out doing the same thing the next day. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on that topic lately. Steven says the police should have locked them up stealing his bed. Well, the police's role is to take them in, take detailed notes, and hand them over to the court system to decide what to do with them. They're not judge, jury, and executioner. They really should have more of an administrative role in the process. And we are heading towards Ossington Avenue. Cash Jordan is amazing at reporting, highly recommended him. He is super duper over the top. He started off doing real estate videos that were quite neat in New York City. And then he got into blatant clickbait stuff. And he would make these AI thumbnails like New York City is being overrun by migrants. And it would just look like the zombie apocalypse. And then you'd watch his video, and it would just be him like yelling into the camera for 30 minutes, showing a few very select scenes. I don't know, I think his stuff has been so thoroughly debunked by other channels. But hey, he found what works in the algorithm for him. Deep tissue body massage, 90 minutes, $90. 60 minutes, $60. Hey, there's no value for going for 90 minutes there. So we are well west of downtown now. We're at Shaw Street. Looks like a big field trip. A lot of high schoolers just going out for a walk. Oops. My chat's just getting mangled up here. There we go.
She might have a boyfriend, but
We're coming up upon Ossington. So I did the neighborhood just to the southwest of here a few weeks back, Dufferin Grove, and a video. Krista says tuna sandwich for lunch with olives and feta on the side. Two of my least favorite things in the world, fish and olives, but I hope you enjoy it. It would be cool to have a Google Map overlay of this. It's easily done. I don't like having clutter on the screen though. I've experimented with that stuff. I think I did one stream where I put the map on. There's Ossington Station just to the north. It is 1:01 p.m. So after about 45 minutes of walking, it is west of Ossington. Toronto Bike Repair.
And then we can replace the axle guts and everything.
Mark says hamburger with all the fixings for lunch. I had a hamburger last night. I went to a fancy French restaurant and opted for the burger and a house lager. You always wonder what the waitress is thinking when you order the cheapest entree and the cheapest beverage on the menu. Everything on the menu is like 40 bucks. It's like, I'll have the $25 hamburger and the $7 house beer, please. I didn't know that, Mark. I'll have to look into that. Panther City Coffee. Oh, that's at the front of the Piston. What? Do they convert that to a coffee shop? That's where I go for a retro night sometimes. James, would love to go to the East Coast. Haven't been since I was a kid. Newfoundland would be at or near the top of the list. I've always liked this Siberia vintage storefront. It always looks kind of neat and colorful. Yeah, there's a lot of Ethiopian. Nazareth Bar, Ethiopian dining in this area. I think it's got the most outside of the area around Greenwood and Danforth. Greetings, Alicia Lewis. All right, thank you, Stephen. Yeah, Ken's a cool guy. I don't quite have the musical chops that he does. I think he did 50 some odd push-ups for his birthday on a live stream. Christo says Ethiopian food is decent. Yeah, I went to a place right near Greenwood and Danforth last summer. That was pretty awesome. always like it when people like look at my camera and turn their head as I walk by, following it. It's like first time seeing one of these things. There's Kobe and MJ. Happy hour, 4 to 7. Little theater across the street. Zoinks, music and books. Why does that remind me of Scooby-Doo for some reason? The Toronto Lakers. Yeah, there's not much in the way of lakes in LA. I think it was originally the Minnesota Lakers. But when they moved, they just kept the name, kind of like the Memphis Grizzlies. Appropriate name for British Columbia, but Memphis? Steven says Ken did the push-ups. Yeah, I don't know if I could do that many. That's something I would definitely try before I did it on a live stream. We are at Havelock. Here's a quiz. How many subway stations have I walked past? There's Bloor Young, that's 1. Bay, that's 2. Monkey's Paw. Then after Bay, St. George, 3. Spadina, 4. Bathurst, 5. Christie, 6. Ossington, 7. Coming up is Dufferin, that'll be 8. What places am I walking to this week? I don't know. This week is halfway in the can. It is hump day. Man, time goes by fast. We're already at the midpoint in the entire week. And Jeanette, if you're there, we've got a bookstore sighting. It's the Gladstone. The Bloor Gladstone branch. There's a Timmy's. I remember after live streaming from Yonge and Eglinton all the way over to Dufferin, then all the way down to here in a snowstorm. And my feet were soaking wet. I took a break at that Timmy's. Hey, a McLaren sighting. Then I came out and made a video. We're almost at Dufferin. There's the 29 Suffering Dufferin. We're just sticking to the south side of the street for the most part. Dufferin Mall, just south of here. Morgan. That is pretty impressive. That puts you in the elite range of how many a person can do. Yeah, that was one of the most memorable live streams I did. We came across a number of buses that were stuck on Dufferin, unable to move. But the concurrent view count was in the thousands. There's something about seeing a dude suffer outside that brings in the views. I think these are all rental buildings, if I'm not mistaken. There's entrance to Dufferin Station. Someone challenged me to do a Young and Steele's to the Lake live stream. Perhaps I'll attempt that before it gets too cold. Good afternoon from Trinidad in the Caribbean. Okay, there's a neat new building. And the new Bloor Collegiate behind it. And the Burdock, an excellent little pub. Krista. Hey Johnny, 2 weeks ago we were landing in Toronto, still watching. Enjoy your next beverage of choice. Krista and Graham from the UK. Well, Krista and Graham, I hope you really enjoyed your time in Toronto. Thank you so much for the support as well. Thank you so much, Krista and Graham. Island oysters. I know a few people that are really big into mussels, but oysters not so much. RD says that one is a prefabricated build. Hey, prefab or not, I think it looks pretty nifty. Sorry, this isn't so much a stop and smell the roses stream. I've got my power walk on a little bit. It's more of a point A to point B kind of journey. Sometimes I dilly-dally, slow down, look around. And sometimes the legs just don't want to slow down. Hey, have you ever heard of using your turn signal, pal? That should be a spanking. When do I expect snow again? I'm gonna say last few weeks of November. Usually it might snow a little bit before then. Beef ravioli. Oh, greetings, Stephanie Jackson. What's the temperature? It was 14 degrees when I started this. It is 16 now. Step count 8,300. I probably did about 1,300 before this stream. Hey, it's Toronto's finest entertainers. Bottle service, cold drinks, food, and hot wings. Maybe we should go there, get some entertainment and a lunch. Something tells me she's not going to be able to turn here. Oh, local traffic only. Those guys are going to filter her through. Michael says oysters are good for a certain activity's energy. Has that been proven in a study? Show me the scientific journal where that has been published. And how do I sign up to be a part of that study? Pole dancing and fitness studio. The Happy Cup Bar and Restaurant. Is that the House of Lancaster? Yes, it was. There's another one coming up on the left. Timmy's on the left here. Lansdowne Station. This is what? Subway station number 9? Ooh, that looks good. Smoked meat. Uncle Sid's Deli. I could totally be down for a smoked meat sandwich for lunch. Rick the Temp was at the original Timmy's in Hamilton the other day. Neat. I don't think I've ever met or come across him before. This is a neat street to go down. I've done a few live streams going south down Lansdowne. Lisa says not into smoked meat. Not a fan of Schwartz's or Reuben's or any of those places when you go to Montreal. Michael Brownlee says Timmy's is selling Canadian wife $20K. We talked about that story. It's $25K. Taking advantage of a 17-year-old employee and then dismissing her concerns, absolutely sickening if true. And there's no reason to believe it's not true. Like the girl's uncle had all the text message exchanges, and they showed them on the video I saw. Hopefully that's just a one-off isolated thing. Yeah, Tim Hortons has not been getting a lot of good press lately. Bhutan Dharma Center, Toronto. That is the happiest country on planet Earth, Bhutan. One of the poorest, but also one of the happiest. I think it was the last place Anthony Bourdain ever went to on one of his shows. I think that was his CNN show. All right, so are these Toronto's second finest entertainers at Paradise? Doesn't even look open. And we're about to enter the Junction Triangle. So coming up next, Dundas West Station. Then after that will be Keele, High Park, Runnymede, Jane, Old Mill, Royal York, Islington, Kipling. Will I make it that far? Distance-wise, I don't think I'm halfway to Kipling, but in terms of the number of subway stations passed, I think I am. They get a little more spread out the further west I go. Lisa says I would never watch Rebel News. Yeah, I'm not subscribed to that channel, but when YouTube is just auto-playing videos in the background and it comes up, I'll pay attention. One I almost had to block was that Juno News. That channel is pretty insufferable. I don't know, watch things, make up your own mind. There's always some kind of bias powering each story, but the two on Rebel News seemed pretty factual from what I saw. Elon Musk says he's canceling tidbits. Did he really say that? The man who buys Tesla shares to drive up the price of Tesla, which in turn makes him richer. Funny little game he's got going on. Already says if you let YouTube autoplay after a while, it goes full on alt-right. I don't know, I get that Guard the Leaf channel getting mixed in with all those videos, which often talks about the tourist crisis in Florida. That's very much a self-inflicted wound. And Adam Mockler and all the late night channels. Usually the Seth Meyers and Stephen Colbert and Daily Show gets played at some point on my TV while I'm working. Stephen Colbert last night was absolutely hilarious. Normally I prefer Seth, but his monologue was A+. Yeah, that was true, Michael. And we are at Sterling Road. I did a video down Sterling Road about a month and a half back. Went by the old Nestle plant to the south of here. There's a contemporary art museum. These homes are slated for redevelopment. Crystal says Jon Stewart is funny AF. Yeah, he is probably the best of what we have on late night. But he's only Monday. Lisa says the Mocha. Yes, not to be confused with a similar named museum in Amsterdam and a few European cities. Make Ontario create again. I think there's plenty of creative people in Ontario still. Also, the make something again slogan is pretty off-putting as a whole. as we head underneath the West Toronto rail path. And hey, we've cracked over 400 viewers. Thank you so much for watching me make my way from Yonge and Bloor to Dundas and Bloor. And we're going to keep going west after that. For how long, I don't know. I've got plenty of battery life left. Plenty of gas in the proverbial tank, so to speak. Just out of curiosity, if I were to walk to Kipling Station, how long would that take? Well, my phone is telling me an hour and 54 minutes from here. I don't know if we're gonna go for 2 more hours. Jillian says go west. Greetings, Lumi. And just like that, I have left the Junction Triangle. Giving my right hand a rare break, doing some left arm streaming. This is kind of like when you brush your teeth or eat a bowl of soup with your wrong hand. It just feels weird. But apparently it's really good to do that before bed, because it clears your mind. Instead of just thinking about anything and everything, if you brush your teeth with your wrong hand, you just focus on the task, and it just kind of naturally clears your head. And hey, look. It's one of the ugliest buildings in the city again. Morgan says, I like Bill Maher. He has been talking to Billy from the Smashing Pumpkins. Billy Corgan, one of the most immensely talented narcissists of all time. He just thinks he's the bee's knees. But I grew up loving his music. Feels weird to eat a bowl of soup with chopsticks, you have to admit. Am I walking 1,000 miles? Yes, cue the Benny and June soundtrack and the Proclaimers. That building is so ugly, it's almost endearing. Same with the Giraffe building over there. But yes, this is a very weird intersection. Not only does it have the ugliest building in the city, but it is Bloor Street West crossing Dundas Street West. And if I keep going west, we'll be back to Dundas Street West again. That's another subway station passed. So coming up is Keele, then High Park, then Runnymede, then Jane, Royal York, Islington, Kipling. Oh, Lori, I have seen those. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I just don't think that anything rivals that building for being so damn ugly. There's the Lithuanian Banquet Hall. I have been there on a few occasions, writing insurance exams of all things. When I started working in insurance, my company would pay for us to get our CIP, so I took a bunch of courses. Then the next job I applied to required a CIP, but I didn't have it. But it was listed under requirements, and they hired me anyways. Then when I went away to Korea and came back, the next job I applied to said CIP required. I still didn't have it. And then the next job, which was pretty well above all my prior work, definitely required it, and they still hired me without it. And I met a lot of the senior people I worked with were like, yeah, I never got that. There's Shivenko. So to this day, my resume still says CIP partially completed. Just one more thing I started and will never finish. There's a Hasty Market. Greg Hybears is there. Greetings, Greg. Channel member Greg. And Lee is here. Good afternoon. If you want to be notified when I go live next, probably Friday, if not Saturday, do subscribe and hit that bell. This channel is very close to 140,000. And the Johnny Stumbles channel is about 500 away from 10,000. I go live there every Sunday. Caked Coffee, great vegan food and patio vibes. That's where the Midas used to be, right? And the Kiel wall was behind it. That's true, Novell Costs. And indeed, thank you, Medano, for gifting Greg the channel membership. Phil didn't know I have another channel. Yeah, it's kind of an anything and everything channel, but lately it's just been Sunday night live streams. Lisa says, if you have to say vibes, are they really there? There's a word that's been kind of played to death. Oh, that's neat, Darren. I've heard that before. Is that third channel still active? Novell Costs. You're one of the very few that knows about it. Might be cool if it stayed that way, but no. It is very much not active. That third channel was my first ever YouTube channel. And I think like my first or second video ever got over 20,000 views. That was kind of cool. But I'm quite embarrassed by that video, so go find it if you want, but I'm not going to lead you to it. There's a Timmy's. Man, I kind of wish I wore a t-shirt. Reconnect.on.ca. Everyone's got a secret channel. Michael says, come on, lead us. Lisa says, embarrassing shit about me. No, just some of my earlier videos. Not so much about me, but not that I ever learned how to make a proper video, but they were definitely cheesily edited. That was back when I was using Power Director. Very much didn't know what I was doing. Everything shot on a GoPro Hero 7. Hey, it's the famous Parkside Drive, one known for, unfortunately, vehicles that speed and speed cameras that get chopped down. I think the city is about to wage war on our fucktard of a premier who wants to make speed cameras illegal in Ontario. Really, if you don't like it, there's a very easy way to not get caught by a speed camera. Surprisingly easy. People would rather bitch, moan, and complain about their right to endanger the lives of others than pay a fine. Fuck those people. And they say it's a cash grab. Well, is it a cash grab? If you just adjust your behavior slightly, there will be no cash to grab. It's not exactly rocket science. And why shouldn't the city use that as a source of revenue? And they said the police will up their enforcement. Yes, one cop getting paid $100 an hour to randomly pull over one or two people an hour at their own discretion is really going to replace a camera that just objectively nails people one by one. That's a great use of resources. That's the end of my rant, but fuck you, Doug Ford. And we've got the beautiful High Park on the left. At all costs, some of the more senior ones certainly do, including one particular one who's well known for harassing cyclists. You'd think with all that experience and high salary, they'd have something better to do. Hello, it's late night in Tokyo now. I think it was about a year ago today, if not very close to now, that I was in Tokyo. One of the best dang cities on the planet. Krista says, I don't have a car. Easy for me to say. The issue is getting a driver's license and it's way too easy and saturated. That's a huge problem. But that doesn't mean speeding isn't a huge problem. Both can be a problem. Also, for the people that say, well, you don't drive, it's like, I've literally uploaded hundreds of hours of me driving and live streaming while I drive. I think I've demonstrated it's not very difficult to follow the rules of the road. Fuck anyone who thinks they have a right to speed on residential streets, through school zones. Hey, do I know Lambden College? No, I do not know anything about that. But I do know we are right at High Park Station, pretty much. As I almost walked into a pole. You thought the argument that speed bumps were more effective? Then install the countermeasures. Tell Doug Ford to foot the bill if he wants to remove the cameras and build safer streets himself. Let him do it. He just wants to take the cameras down and do nothing to appease his voting base. And there's a look to the east. Our jet went for a walk around his neighborhood. Neat. I love that his solution was bigger sides. As if people don't know what they're doing. I think I had a Toyota Prius, that EV, that would beep at me every time I went more than 10 over the limit. That would flip on the highway quite often. There's a look into High Park. The Grenadier Family Restaurant in the heart of the park. Is that sign new? The poles look old. Maybe they've updated the sign? Walk north to Dundas West. No, we're sticking to Bloor. Anthony says eliminate speed cameras and raise property taxes and income tax. Well, that's what happens when you take money out of the city's coffers like that. One of the reasons John Tory kept getting re-elected was he didn't raise property taxes, which was very favorable with homeowners. And then they elect a new mayor, and she's like, what the fuck is this? We're about 10 years behind on our property taxes here. And she looks like the bad guy. There's some nice, lovely old walk-ups on that side of the street. Colin M, that is true. Lafayette Cafe. If the city re-elects John Tory, so help you God. Yeah, let's remember all of these bike lanes were approved and went in under a very enthusiastic John Tory. And then what does he do? He walks back his sentiment on them. Real stand-up guy, that guy is. Alicia Lewis, $2. Alicia Lewis. Thank you so much, Alicia Lewis. You probably made that staffer he took advantage of sign an NDA and take a settlement, thus protecting his future political career. I don't know, the fact that he saw it fit to step down after that tells me he should probably be done. There's so many better people than him we could elect, including the person we did elect. So we are coming upon Bloor West Village coming up. Krista says mixed feelings about bike lanes having 4 seasons. They do it in Copenhagen. Bike lane usage is sky high right now in the city. And there's been counts along this stretch of Bloor that count more people passing through the bike lanes than by vehicle. Cars look big and they take up a lot of space, but 4 cars in a row, single occupant cars, equals 4 people on bikes, which you notice much less. Toronto says we don't get that much snow here. Yeah, we don't, and it's not that hard to keep the bike lanes clear. The city just does a horrible job of prioritizing everything but them. I think it's really their contractors to blame. But if you build it and if you maintain it, people will absolutely ride year long. And look at Montreal. They have a superior bike network, and way worse winters than us, and they make it work. On top of countless Nordic cities that were such special snowflakes, that winter argument comes out. Yeah, no shit, people don't want to ride around in your improperly maintained, non-protected bike lanes in the winter. Fair point, Andy. Greetings to you. But to point out proper street design, this is it. Notice how right-turning vehicles are forced to go wide and not end up hooking cyclists and pedestrians. If they didn't have that barrier there, vehicles would be turning right, hugging this curb the whole way. Yeah, the real culprit on Bloor Street has always been the street parking. Particularly along Danforth and stretches of Bloor, there's tons of parking where they built the subway because they used a cut and cover method. There's stretches of linear parks and paid parking lots just on the north side of much of Bloor and Danforth. Toronto needs congestion pricing. I would be for it. What I think would be a fair tilt would be if your vehicle is not registered to the City of Toronto, you pay congestion pricing. Oh, you want to live in another city, pay your property taxes there, but commute into here? All right, pay your fair share. Or, you know, take the GO train. High Park Espresso. The Dickies on Yonge Street closed down. That one is still coming soon. There's another beautiful old library. Harvey's online pickup. That is their polite way of saying, stay out of here, Uber Eats drivers. The Harvey's that I go to Those people just have no shame. You will be interacting with the lady at the counter. I say lady because it's always one at this location. And she'll be helping you, or another customer, and they'll just elbow their way to the counter and flash their phone saying, "Where's my order?" So I think that's a neat solution, just segregating them from the customers. It's like the Wild West when those guys go in to pick up their orders. Anthony J says you cannot charge tourists extra money for visiting the city. Do you think a tourist is going to say, no, I don't want to pay a small fare to take the highway into the city? They're going to come to Toronto, get a hotel that's going to cost $300-400 a night at least. Spend a bunch of money on restaurants, but they're going to balk at spending $5 to drive into the city on the highway. I don't think that would impact tourism one bit. Subash, that's great. I hope they improve that Go service from Milton. Hey, there's a cafe here. I don't think I passed it yet, where I bought a really good iced latte on a live stream about 3 months ago. This neighborhood is known for having, I think, the largest Ukrainian population outside of Ukraine. Valcosta says congestion pricing makes sense in any place there's congestion. Indeed. Especially now, it can all be done digitally. Hey, there's the place I went to. Had a solid smoothie or iced coffee from there. Wayne says I'm on a roll this afternoon. Howard Charco. Greetings, Howard Charco. Thank you for joining in the chat. Hope you're doing well. We are 52 subscribers away from 140,000. We should get there by the end of the week, but not on this stream. Things are always slow in September. But they don't call it Uptober for a reason, or not for a reason. I haven't checked the markets today, but I suspect they're way up. That's just what happens in October. Hey, let me check. They're up a little bit. Overall, up about 0.5%. That's a decent bump. You haven't been in this area in ages. Well, it's a two-pronged solution. You fund the TTC and GO train properly and implement congestion pricing. Like I said, if I was in charge, I would implement congestion charging, except for if your vehicle is registered to the city of Toronto. I'd only apply it for people coming in from outside. Sorry, not sorry. Perfectly poached yolks is hiring. bike commemorating. Usually those are ghost bikes. I'm not sure what that one was. Howard's plans are loving the sunshine. This is such an awesome neighborhood. There's the wine shop. Oh man, my legs do not want to slow down. I told myself maybe we'll give up the ghost at Jane Station. I can already tell you I'm probably going to keep going. The coffee boutique. It's been an absolutely beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Yeah, Andy, this area in particular has a very large Ukrainian-Canadian population. This is where they hold the annual Ukrainian festival. It was held a few weeks back. The same weekend they hold the Polish festival on Roncesvalles. It's kind of a neat 2-for-1, especially if you're into Eastern European stuff. This is Windermere Avenue. Howard, I would argue 11 over is a very, very ticky-tack bullshit ticket, personally. But if it's a 30 zone, was it a school zone? I don't know. I would make the speed cameras 14 over the limit and more. I think going 10, 11 over, that's just kind of what people do. When you set the speed limit, you just kind of assume that's what most people are going to be going at. There's a second cup. Book City. I once got a speed ticket, I think on Dixie Road in Mississauga, by a cop who was just waiting at the bottom of a giant dip. And I think the road was a 50, and almost everyone goes like 70, 80 through there. I've only gotten 2 speeding tickets in my life. That was one of them. And I contested it. And they just brought it down to a minor. Didn't have to see a judge or anything. And the other speeding ticket I got was on the highway. An OPP cop pulled me over. I was going about $1.40. And I was in my brand new 2005 Pontiac G6. The cop ended up asking a lot of questions about the car. It had only been out for like a week. And he like nosed around it a bit. And then he did me a solid, I guess, or he fucked up because he never filed the ticket. I remember the next day calling in to pay it. I was like, I'll just pay that one, that's fair. He caught me fair and square. I went to pay it, and then the system didn't recognize the ticket. So I tried a week later and just assumed he never filed it. Those are my only ever speeding tickets. He also said he appreciated that when he put his lights on, I put my 4-ways on. and immediately pulled over almost into the ditch. I just went all the way to the right as possible so he wouldn't be standing beside busy traffic. And he said he appreciated that. All right, we are at Jane Arbor Medical. And if you're on a bicycle and a cop tickets you, you are not required to show identification. I learned that from the biking lawyer. You are required to be truthful with your personal information that you provide, but you don't have to hand over your ID or license. All right, next stop, Old Mill. Durbar. So there used to be an old movie theater across the street. And we are almost in a place they called on a Netflix documentary Etobicoke. I think that's where Howard lives, one of our viewers. Etobicoke. A former standalone municipality amalgamated with, as not just bike calls, the Megas City. Megas City? Mega Ass City. All right, I'm gonna get my trusty battery bank out. Uno momento. Okay, is the audio working? Yes. There we go. Well, that's a bit of a bold turn there. Back to work, everyone. You're welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Humber Cinemas. There we go, Alex. Just waiting for the pedestrian signal here. Nushi Daycare and Boarding Spa. That's no good. This didn't seem to be charging. Let me reattach this. Plugged in, not charging. That. There we go. Got the little lightning bolt. Can actually walk to the old mill building in the park. I've walked by that very recently in a live stream. I'm not detouring off of Bloor. Little wave to that driver for backing up. But we're about to go on a decently long stretch where there's not a lot of retail. Wayne, I don't think that's true. I'd be curious to hear what the biking lawyer says about that, because he made a post specifically saying you do not have to ever provide your ID to the cops if you're on a bike. You just are required to be truthful. That seems like too easy of an abuse on the cops' part if they can just say, I don't believe you. I mean, maybe if you said your name was like Mary Poppins and you lived at 123 Brick Lane, okay, but unless it's egregious like that, I don't think they should be able to do that. I don't think we're going to see any salmon when we cross the Humber River. Good job. You almost stopped behind the line, and they wouldn't have stopped at all if I weren't walking here. Village of Swansea. Nice to see some housing and greenery. Yeah, it's quite the change. Look at all this congestion these pesky bike lanes are causing. There's some absolutely beautiful homes in this area. Toronto says Billy Madison was filmed south of here. Neat. And Keanu Reeves grew up in this area as well, if I'm not mistaken. And he went to school just a little bit southwest of here. There are some monster homes up these way, or up on these streets. Step count update. Peter Bradfield says, Johnny, I guess you're inspiring. You're down 150 pounds, 390 to 275. Keep it up, Peter. That is awesome. You have shed yourself an entire small adult. That is no small feat. Visit Canada's premier art fair, Art Toronto. All right, the Humber River is upon us. Goodbye, Old Toronto. Hello, Etobicoke. There's just 4 subway stops left on line 2 till we're at the terminal station. Davy Bear, $5. Holy cow, Davy Bear, thank you so much for the $5. Thank you very much for the support, Davy Bear. And to the person asking if we could see the old mill building. Oh, there you go. My high school graduation was held there, the equivalent of our prom. But my girlfriend went to a different high school that was holding theirs at the Sheridan Center on the same night downtown, and I went to that one. So I did not get to go to the old mill. There's a look at the Humber. All right, thank you again, Davy Bear. This area in particular was ravaged by Hurricane Hazel. Lisa says my high school graduation was equivalent to prom. Yes, it's, well, the high school, we just called it whatever, but it was basically a prom. Where the graduating class at the end of the year usually books like a banquet hall or a convention center. You get a DJ, a bunch of people smuggle in alcoholic drinks. Teachers look the other way. Everyone rents suits and tuxedos, at least the guys do. Yeah, there's a plaque commemorating Hurricane Hazel on the other side. Did people ever camp there? I don't know. And that's a beautiful residential area. Bobby Point is just off in that direction. James Carter says just past the 2-hour mark. Thanks for the confirmation. Hey, a super chat rolled in. Morgan, humbling scenes of home. Thank you. Low bit rate warning. Don't know where that came from, but thank you, Morgan. Thank you so much for the $5. Glad you appreciate the humbling scenes of home. And huge thanks to everyone else who's tuned in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, yada yada. Or if you don't like it, you can hit the thumbs down button. Engagement is engagement. Much appreciated, Morgan. There's the old mill where the bus bays are not integrated with the station. So if you're on that 2-hour window, you can get screwed by having to tap in again, getting charged an extra fare. That kind of sucks. I consider watching the Jays play today. Well, if they were playing, I'd be watching it, but fortunately they're not. I'm going to watch the Yankees and Red Sox go at it. Let's hope for a 16-inning affair where both teams thoroughly exhaust their bullpens. Aaron Judge stubs his toe. And the Yankees win it. And then may they beat each other up again on Thursday. Shadow Joker. I can't spend much, but here, add this to the lunch funds. Shadow Joker. Thank you so much for the super Shadow Joker. Much appreciated. I think you guys have covered my lunch and dinner and then some. Thank you so much. They have an inter-squad game today. Oh, that would be neat. $10 tickets. I did not know about that. That would have been neat. What time does it start? $4 p.m. Oh, thanks for the info, James. Greetings, Marty. There's an inter-squad tomorrow as well. That's a good way to sharpen their pencils. Don't want people going cold. Oh, I think that's an entrance to the cemetery on the left. Kingsway condominiums. You on York Mills? No, we are on Bloor Street. 3 more subway stations to go. Do you want me to just go all the way to Kipling? Let's guess where I'm going to. It says Anthony. It's been a nice little walk coming out of this valley here. Lisa, don't you have some kind of makeup filter? It's relatively flat stuff for the rest of the way, I think. Sidewalks? Who needs sidewalks? I've been walking so long, the sun has swung around to the west side. Now we're walking right towards it. Lisa says, have you seen those filters? Yeah, try it. I've played around with those filters on my live home streams. You know what? It's kind of nice walking on a softer surface. I'm in the barefoot shoes today. Yeah, I wore jeans. I should have worn shorts. But these are kind of like best suited for this kind of surface. What are you doing? Oh, that pickup. That's a double turn lane. Oh, but he just did that to skip the line and go back to the right? No, is he turning left? He's turning left. He briefly indicated to go back to the right. Marty M., welcome to Silver Tier. Marty M., thank you so much for joining the ranks of Silver Tier. Thank you very much, Marty M. Getting kind of narrow over here. Without cost, yeah, I think it's just this little stretch here. For that Prince Edward, the street coming up. That situation corrects itself. This is an area known as the Kingsway. Really? The light changed. It wasn't even half a second later and someone was honking. Wholly impatient. Well, we've made it back to civilization, kind of. NIMBY-filled civilization. There's a few businesses in this area that are absolutely worth not supporting. I did a whole video on that. They hold an annual Taste of the Kingsway Festival along here, but I skipped out on that this year. Cakes and Bakes shop. There's the Gabby's. I'm almost always, for whatever reason, on that side of the street when I stream through here. There's a pleasant message. Same to you too, pal. Well, glad you're here, Marty. Would you ever consider running for mayor of Toronto? No. There's people more qualified than I. What did these businesses do? They were opposing the bike lanes, throwing a hissy fit about them. Yes, why make our cities livable, safer, and yes, less congested? My only act as mayor would be name back anything that Councillor Chris Moyse changed. He changed a park in Regent Park name with zero consultation with the public to something self-serving. He changed Dundas Square, same story. I would literally just undo everything he did and call a new election and have a competent deputy mayor do all the actual mayor duties while I was doing that. Snow, you wouldn't want to elect me. That would be a big waste of resources. Randy Ruck says I wouldn't want the job. Or I could take the Trump approach. I could just go play golf every day and pretend I'm hardworking. And just go on incoherent, crazy rants every now and then. Alex Grimshaw. Thank you, Alex Grimshaw. Thank you for the 3, that is British pounds, Alex. Thank you so much. There's an electric vehicle delivering for Staples. Johnny for incoherent mayor. Marcus, is it possible some of those anti-bike businesses changed their stance? Some of them on Bathurst did. just north of Bloor. I think they realized they were aligning themselves with a very toxic crowd. Yeah, Howard, of course John Tory wants to run for mayor. After 10 years of not raising property taxes, he let someone else do it. Now he can come back in and freeze them. Way to go, Mr. Popular. He was a very milquetoast mayor. He didn't like to do anything one way or the other for the most part. We did have some good things under him. Active TO was good, although I don't think he pushed it as much. That was mostly other councillors' work. Cafe TO was good. The bike lane initiative was good. But of course he regrets those things now. All right, Jillian, have a blessed day. Morgan says, so my campaign starts now. Howard says he cost a couple of million after resigning after winning. I think he miscalculated the blowback from his misdeed. He probably figured that it was political suicide, but in this day and age, apparently it's not. That whole story just kind of went away, which leads me to suspect there was some hush-hush money given. And, you know, good for the person who collected it. If she had to endure that and was paid off handsomely. There's the Kingsway. I don't think people want Tory back. Howard says should not be allowed to enter again. I agree with you, Howard. But I also agree with people just not voting for him. I mean, Trump got to run again. Alex says, you're back in Toronto next March. High chance of snow. March is an odd month. You could have a snowstorm one day, and then spring will come early the next. Oh yeah, we passed Royal York Station. Here's the Kingsway Fish and Chips. So that's Bloor Station, Bay, St. George, Spadina, Bathurst, Christie, Ossington, Dufferin, Dundas West, Lansdowne, Keele, High Park, Runnymede, Jane, Old Mill, and Royal York. Maybe I missed one in there. There's just 2 more to go. And I will have walked the entirety of the western half of Line 2 on this live stream. Got enough battery life, there's no real excuse not to do it. Andy Wood says Tory should stay retired. Maybe he misses the power and the control. It's hard for a lot of those people to just be retired and enjoy life. Look at Trump. That guy could just be playing golf every day, living without a care in the world. Michael says, I like this part of Toronto. Air seemed crispy. Wow, the air is super fresh. Johnny, I think you could be good mayor. Eh. I think a lot of competent people could be good mayor. So the job of president is just play golf, apparently. And poorly at that. Anyone who's played with him says he cheats like no tomorrow and is insufferable on the golf course. Sweet Corvette, I missed it. Tridell. Next up, Islington. There's a whole lot of development south of here on the Queensway. It's going to be really neat to see how that area transforms. Good afternoon, Jason. Oh, I've got an ice cold bubbly. Well, I hope it's still ice cold in my backpack. I've heard that too, Novelkos. That guy was holding on to a burrito. Lucky for me, it's deadlift day, so after this long-ass walk, I get to put my legs through absolute hell later today. That's gonna be fun. Alright, we're almost at Islington. Just a few more blocks to go. Jumbo TV says he's looking and sounding worse with every year. With every week is more like it. And he says, why would you cheat in golf? I don't know. I have no problem admitting I suck at that, even when I played. For every round I shot under 100, honestly, I shot 10 well over 100. You kind of savor those good rounds a little more whenever they come around. One day I was on fire. I was through the front nine at +3, playing from the blues with my buddy who always kicked my ass, and I was like 12 shots ahead of him. I finished the day at like an 88, but that was easily my best score. That was at Carlisle, out on the West End. It was the type of day I drove one about 300 yards, which is long for me, into a bunker on a fairway that was next to our hole. I played it out of the fairway and put it on the green 5 yards from the hole. I missed the putt and only got a par, but just to be putting for birdie after that, it was just that kind of day. Some days you're on, you're on. Also, a lot of people cheat. They'll drive one into the woods and then they'll just take another tee shot. It's like, no, you are now shooting 3 from the tee, my friend. That is not one penalty shot. You are now on shot number 3. There's all kinds of ways to cheat. Islington Station is closed, the west entrance, and the sidewalk is closed for renovations. Yeah, I think they're making it accessible, right? We are almost at Islington, 300 yards, that's pretty good. Yeah, my average drive was like 250. Every once in a while I would stripe one pretty good. Black Angus Steakhouse. I had a Wilson driver. It was the one that Padraig Harrington used. I think it was like 2 seasons old as far as models go. I would just get them from Gulf Town in the winter. Yeah, Jumbo TV, it's a silly thing to do. I think a lot of people just turn golf into a dick measuring contest in terms of their scores, and they're only cheating themselves. Hey, I think I can unplug my battery bank. Let's do that when I get to Islington. And we can just stream on battery power the rest of the way. Johnny is definitely not in the score doesn't matter camp. I would say the score matters, but I have no shame in putting up a nice large number. I think the game after I shot in the 80s, I put up like a 125. It's like, yeah, I should be taking the 3-wood off the tee here, but we're gonna let the big dog eat and just put it into the drink over and over again. Take the bike lane, fire truck. You can fit. Can it? Good on this Toyota driver here. Well, almost good on them. My AI fun art. $2. Thank you, my AI fun art. Thank you for the $2. Cheers to you. Andy Wood tried golf once. No thanks. Here comes a fire truck in the other direction. So it was that median there that was holding up the fire truck. It was able to get around. Two fire trucks going in opposite directions. I guess they are going in the same direction as that other one. I don't know what that one guy was telling me, but Wii Sports Resort Golf was great, says RD. Speaking of great, I've unplugged my battery bank. Just keep that thing in my pocket. One more subway stop to go, and I will have walked all of line 2. between Young and Bloor and Kipling, so all of the western half of line 2. We've been live for 2 hours and 30 some odd minutes. Yeah, I think I'm definitely doing this faster than Google suggested, because it told me it would be 2 more hours back when we were in Bloor West Village. Well, I walked the eastern half of line 2. That one gets a little interesting because when you get to Victoria Park, man, Kennedy and Warden, those 2 stops alone, I could do that. Do I want to do that? And would I want to start from Kennedy and do that really boring ass stretch first? Or start at Young and Bloor? I guess we could do that. Yeah, this area has changed quite a lot, Philip. Randy Ruck says, holy shit, that's a long haul. Sheena Roberts, enjoying the stream. Thank you, Johnny, and happy October, everyone. Best wishes to you, Sheena. Glad you're enjoying the stream. Good to see you back. Thank you, Miss Roberts, all the way from the lovely UK. If you get the chance to call into the Stumble stream again, I think people would love to hear your voice again, but thank you, Sheena. $19,170 steps today. Methinks this is going to be a 30K step day. When all is said and done. Randy Ruck says, I need a beverage. Thank you, Randy Ruck, for the Viber. I do need a beverage. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, it's one thing to do a stream this long and just kind of stop and take breaks, sit down for a while, but it's another thing just to keep marching the whole way. Yeah, Morgan, can't say I've ever done that. All right, let's play a little game. Will we see a subway train roll by before I get underneath the overpass here? There should be a very good chance of seeing a train, but I don't hear any. There goes a Mississauga bus. Come on, train. Andy Wood says, no, I won't. Did you cheat and check a transit app? We're heading towards the old Spaghetti Junction. I hear it, but we can't see it. It's on the other side. Greetings, Coeur d'Affaire. Happy October to you and everyone else out there. (26) Burnhamthorpe to South Common. Oh, I thought I heard a train, but it was that delivery truck. Cue the Chariots of Fire theme song as we get near to Kipling. Six Points coming up indeed. And where the old Westwood Theater used to be. Where I saw the original Batman. That was back when, oh, there's a train. Famous players here would split the good movies with the Cineplex at Sherway. I think Ghostbusters 2 was at Sherway, but Batman was at Westwood. Remember those days before we had a theater monopoly? Best wishes from Bulgaria. Well, thank you. That's where Alina McLeod now calls home. Hey, Mark D is here. Greetings, Mark D. The old Westwood was just over there. So once again, for the second time on this live stream, I'm about to cross Dundas Street West. The old Spaghetti Junction, 6 Points, that was reconfigured. Still very much a work in progress. Do I follow Alina McLeod? She pops up on my feed a fair bit. Are we bidding farewell to Bloor Street? I think we are. Goodbye and good night, Bloor Street. Hello, Dundas Street West. She is smart. Shorts and a t-shirt. Why am I out here in jeans and a long sleeve shirt with my sleeves rolled up like a dummy? Alina had some trouble getting her Google AdSense hooked up to her bank account in Europe. But I think all of that is behind her. She got a pretty nice apartment there. 43-story tower planned. Not sure why that guy just chose to walk in the bike lane when there's a sidewalk right here, but you do you. So in a block we'll be at Kipling, and just on the other side of that is Kipling Station. Be prepared to stop trucks entering and exiting the road. Duly noted. So apparently they're building the Etobicoke Civic Center in here? Or is that just directions to it? Yeah, Howard, maybe. Hey, it's Kipling. Now I could stay along Dundas here, but I think I can sneak in through this way. These drivers turning right are like just my luck. I gotta wait for this idiot walking around. Six Points Plaza straight ahead. Dude on a Harley ripping down Kipling. Hey, Howard Charco, this is where you intercepted me the first time on Kipling. That was north of the Queensway, but south of here. Kurt of Hair says I'm almost walking to Mississauga at this rate. You would think so, but Mississauga is deceptively far from here. You'd have to go all the way past the 427 and then some. mean, I could go to Mississauga, or I could go to Kipling Station. I might need to enter through the east entrance. Well, it just so happens that is the side we are on. Do. We're gonna head down to St. Albans, 6 Points Park. Private roadway, local access. Really? That's not a city street? Velkos says Mississauga is deceptively far from him as well. Gonna scoot around this mom and her daughter. I need some donuts after this walk. Well, I definitely need some calories. This is quite the deficit. That bus is turning. There's Kipling. Do. We did it! From Bloor Young all the way to Kipling. In well under 3 hours. Suck it, Google Maps. Uh-oh, someone's Good Life bag in their food. Boom. Subway, buses, washrooms. It is quiet.
Attention customers.
Sam Patel.
Trains are not stopping at Sherbourne Station.
No stopping at Sherbourne Station. Thank you, Sam Patel. Thank you so much for the super chat, Sam. Cheers to you. We're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes. Thank you, Howard. Stephen Hill. Thank you, Stephen Hill. Thank you so much. Cheers to you as well. Even though I'm wearing sunglasses, I'm trying to look directly into the camera lens, which is kind of stupid, as if you guys can really see. But thank you, Stephen. Alicia Lewis. Thank you, Johnny, for this awesome walk. Cheers and happy birthday to my bestie, Kurt Affair. Thank you, Alicia Lewis. Isn't it your birthday as well? Well, happy birthday, Kurt Affair, and thank you, Alicia Lewis. Well, I heard a rumor that your birthday was up soon. Well, let's head down to the subway. But huge thank you to everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to your thoughts and comments down below. If you wish to support what I do, there's links to Patreon and YouTube channel membership down in the description. I've got an Instagram account at Johnny Strides. There's a super thanks button down below. If you wish to say thanks that way. Anyways, there we go. Over 20K steps on this one. We're just gonna chill here until the subway gets moving. Mississauga Transit has better washrooms, only 2 minutes further to the west. Yeah, but that's quite a ways from here. And I don't need the washroom. Thank you, Medano. Yeah, we made it from Young Bloor to Kipling. So some people are going to be getting on the train here, making things pretty awkward. So I should just wrap this up. And we'll lose service as soon as we start moving anyways, at least when we get in the tunnel. So thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell to be notified when I go live next, and root for the Blue Jays. All right, have a good night, guys. Yoink. Toodles.